All right, so we're on day 4, KJ Cash Bootcamp. We went over pivots, we went over proper risk, we went over Delorean. Now we're just going to look at a little bit of how pivots and Delorean can be used together to find some confluence on entries and exits in the market, right? So we can do them both. So I'm actually going to go off of what we got right here, because we had a potential aqua, gray, and blue breakout where we could have gotten an uptrend. So far, it's all been this has been a pullback up until this point where we could have gotten some uptrend movement where the pivot levels would have had to shift up, and we would have gotten some more buys in as they continued up towards the higher level. However, we did not get that. What we got instead was a drop. So let's talk about how we can catch it. So we know that the R8 and above, and I really want to rewind it to see if we can get to a point before the pivot levels shifted, because it wasn't always so easy. Yeah, there we go. So this is where I was at first thinking, I'm going to take my sell up here and they're 39.06. Pivot level confluence, I see the first drop. I guess we should get straight into some rules, right? Before we get into some trades. So what do we look for confluence from Delo and pivots? For one, we want to make sure that we are at a pivot level before we take the trade. So right here, we got our pivot level shifted, which is where I started to analyze the sell from this level instead of 39.06. So if we're looking to take a sell, this is actually perfect. This is a perfect setup because I have in my mind the break and close below the R6 because of these EMAs and everything we've learned about Delo is going to be that continuation down to the P4, right? And I would just need my stops above the level. But from where we're at, if I'm looking at the R8, I need a hard breaking close below this for that takedown to 38.08, which is the easy 20 pips. Where would I put my stop? For this trade from here to here, I put my stop right above this wick, actually. I put my stop above this wick in this pivot level. I'm going a 1-to-1 trade on it. Now, any other swings down, we do not want to put our stop above the next pivot level that has price action. We want to put our stop losses, especially because we're looking at an R8 trade and a potential S0, P4, definitely. We know these are the pivot levels that stretch to the higher time frames. We back tested that on the first video. If you don't remember that, just go back. Now, what we're going to do is place our stop above the last pivot level that does not have any price action. So you have to look at your account size. You have to look at your lot size, make sure that you're not going to blow your account if we get some bullish action. Or if price decides to buy up through the +2, it doesn't blow your account. But this is the most valid stop loss because this, and don't look at it just so much like a stop loss, but we'll call it an invalidation because this truly invalidates the trade. If price does come take out this price action here and continue up through the +2, then it will most definitely buy at least up to here, which means that we should be getting in and buy right here, which means it was just the wrong trade. And it's okay to be wrong. We just don't want to blow our accounts. So this is the invalidation level. Now we're looking at targets. Our first target is going to have to be these EMAs. It's going to have to come back down into these EMAs like it did right here. That was the target when this shift happened. The shift didn't happen. But we need yellow to shift with red. EMAs is going to be target 1. If we get that break and close below the EMAs, we can go pivot level to pivot level. Okay, that's one step. Is going to be pivot level to pivot level. In my mind already, though, I already said it already. We're looking at the P4 or the S0. I'm looking at those major trades. I'm looking at price to chop its way down, and I just want you guys to see how it played out. We got some bullish action. We have not taken the trade market X style yet. And if we were doing limits, I honestly would have had my limit a little bit higher. So it's like, maybe if this is my invalidation, I would have wanted to put my limit right up here with this wick. So it wicks us out, wicks out these sellers, and then respects these. That's where I would have had to put my limit, but I took a market X because I was really trying to trade this R8. Boom. That's the hard breaking close. Of course, we got the retest for the continuation down. More retest. Now, TP1 smacked. TP smacked. Right here, we analyzed it. We said pivot level to pivot level. That's 20 points in the pocket. And this is why it's important to TP, because we're going to need that break. Look at this. There's not a lot of space. I'm going to show you a much clearer breakdown, but this is just this morning's move and how to use pivots and deload to catch it. There's not a lot of space. So that is this turbulence. That's what I call this, turbulence. Even when it got to the 800, it did a full retest of this whole level before it can continue down. This is just turbulence. It can shake you out if you're not knowing what's happening. But if we go to current time and I am actively in this trade, you see turbulence, finally gave up the guts, and it's coming down where I said it would. And this, of course, was all based on, like we said, yellow shifting with red right here. Then we got 1 rejection, 2 rejections. So that's literally 4 entries. Okay, we're not going to call this an entry, even though it really is. You know, we're talking about experienced deload traders. And one day we'll be able to count candles. It'll tell us 7 candles. We'll also be able to tell miraculous entries. 1, right? The shift is 2, stop loss. Boom, rejection, stop loss. Boom, final melt, stop loss. But of course, the 1 trade, boom, boom, TP smacked, re-entry, TP smacked, re-entry, TP smacked. You can always do that. Look at the melt. This is live. This is live, guys. Right? Let's go ahead and close this just so we can see. You know, November 9th, 2022, 10:30 a.m. and it's melting and we caught it. Now, let's go back. I love doing this live. This is beautiful. You know, I wish, you know, I love looking at that. So I want to show us another breakout. Let's look at this one here. Look at the bottom. You know, I want to show us a breakout into AGB so we can get an upwards trend without having to worry about too many are the EMAs in the way. Right? Right here. Look at this melt that's going to happen right here. So yesterday we was talking about, this is the actual trade. For Delorean, we was talking about how we want to wait for price to get into aqua gray and blue and then find the trade, which is why, you know, if we would have waited on the buys for aqua, and I have a buy-in, Let me go back to where we are. I'm gonna go back. You know, this buy was not impossible to catch, and I caught it. These buys down here, especially this one, actually, I put a limit right here. This buy is very easy to catch. But if you think about it, they're about to get washed out. And it's like, if we would have waited for aqua gray and blue, which is right here, to actually look for a serious buy, our buyers would not be in pressure of getting washed out right now because we would be getting ready to take the sell or wait for aqua gray and blue to take the sell for a big ass drop. So it's patience is what I'm getting at. However, you know, because we have so many extra tools at our disposal, we can catch those types of trades. I'm just going to go back to this one with the aqua gray and blue. So we can catch something nice. Ironically, we are at the S0. Let's get it. Let's talk. Let's see how we can trade this S0 then. Okay. So we got a key pivot level here, and we are at the S1. We have aqua gray and blue in alignment. And that tells us that we are in a downtrend. Okay. Right off a major drop. This is going to be good. So we got to be patient. That was actually the shift down. We got to retest. There we go. So price action. Oh, I knew this was going to have to be like this. It was not going to just go straight down like that because it will not. One thing to note here, and this is, I actually probably went to a more complicated example, which is fine. When you're at the S0, price action always gives you an indication of what's going to happen. And this bounce that it's finna do is going to tell us that there, and I'm sure we can go through some of our other indicators, but there is a likelihood of pivot levels shifting and big drops happening. And our EMAs are in aqua gray and blue in the downtrend. So keep in mind, we're not necessarily looking for the shift up so much as the shift down for this downtrend action. Okay. Okay. So as we continue to look, we have some price action up. I really want to see a nice rejection before I look to enter anything. I need to see a nice, hard, fat ass candle. Tell me what's going on. That one was cool. Actually, yeah, here we go. We're getting into some juice now. Boom. This right here. Yep. How do I explain this? When I see this bearish, when I see this consolidation, yes, right here, I was thinking maybe buy, but you have to, and this is where pivots comes into clutch and the DeLorean. So you got to recognize that price never actually touched the S0. And I've come to realize that that doesn't matter. They will fake people out by getting close and not touching it, but that we want the buy again on the cross up. So we're not looking for buys until we get that cross up. And the reason we weren't looking for this buy on the cross up through the S1 is because we have aqua, gray, and blue right above price in alignment on the downtrend. So essentially, we're looking for sells now on the cross down, which is what we got here. So if you entered here on the hard breaking close for the TP at the S0, with the stops above the last pivot level that does not have price action, and if you count this, we can put our stop up here, right? TP for the smack. S0 TP. Now you can ask yourself, well, why would I be trying to trade the S0? And that's the reversal zone. Again, and this is why I keep talking about extra tools. Just stay tuned for 1 and for 2, price action and dealer. We're in a downtrend. We're not looking so many buys right now, especially not with price not crossing up through. That's why we buy on the bullish action. I wouldn't have even had a limit there. Now, if you did have a limit and it came right back here, that's that TP smack. But this is what I wanted to show you. That is what I actually wanted to show you. This price action is why I would have had confidence in knowing that the S0 is about to collapse. See, right here, okay, potential trade now for S1 to S2, except, again, we have all of our DeLorean lines in alignment telling us that price may not be able to get through there. They really might not. But what we do have is rejection of the S1 and an already mitigation of the S0. So right here, I'm thinking if we get a bearish engulfing, and this is just me in my head, because we already got the shift down. We already have aqua, gray, and blue. Yes, we are at the S0, but hold on. Broke the S0, 39.06. 39.06. So rewinding the candles is going to be a little bit tougher because some of the candles are already completed. So this was a daily level too. So that's what makes this so much more key, because we would have for sure been looking for buys, because this is a pivot level on all levels, 39.06. And then we got that break. So yes, if price comes down to here and then starts to buy back up, we are looking at buys. But look, we got a pivot level adjustment. Not yet. Pivot levels didn't adjust yet. The price is not coming back up. We got that bearish, more bearish engulfings. Pivot levels haven't even adjusted yet, but we were in this sell and we got aqua, gray, and blue, and that's why, y'all, this shit is clutch. I'm waiting on my pivot levels to adjust now, because look, we're looking at more D-low entries on this breakdown. So this was, and this is why I don't be missing shit. So I'm cussing a lot on this. It's all good though. Let's get it. Right here, rejection. Plus, price couldn't even get above our 50. So we got so many stop loss options on this sell-off. It's like, are we going to get in and put our stop just above the 50? We could put our stop just above this pivot level and these EMAs. This is some great invalidation zones, because it's like, if price gets up in here, it's going to have to buy. We'll have a lot of buy opportunities. But if it does not, it's going to have to drop. Where would it drop to? Because we're already at the -1. We're going to have to look at the next pivot levels, especially on the daily. And I know that this was some daily action, because I just wish that the rewind worked where it could go candle to candle on the daily, but we're just on the hour, so we're going to rock with it. Boom. We really need our pivot levels to adjust, but it is melting as of now. Now, this is where I also get excited, because our pivot levels just adjusted. We got a new S0. and price is retesting our 50. And this price action right here is telling me we're getting ready to get into a supply zone. I do believe this is where it bought up for the sell-off. I want to get back into the examples, but I want to watch some price action. So when we get back to the P4, we have to recognize, now that we have Delo and pivots, right? We got, if price wants to continue to move up, TP1, I mean, a lot of TPs, but major TPs would be confluential areas where the gray and the pivot level is adjusted. But we also got to keep in mind we're at the P4 in a downtrend. This could just be a retrace. And if we get a hard bearish engulfing candle out of this P4, we could be headed right back down to the S0. And if we're headed back down to the S0, it could be a big melt because it would be the second time we got back down there and we're in a downtrend. So that's things that I always keep in mind. Looks like we got some bearish action. Let's see where these candles go with it. We hit the S0. Pivot levels are coming to, that's the that's P4 to S0. That's all we need. How many pips was it? And it's like, I'm really showing us how to just trade it 24/7, but we got to recognize we only need one trade. 78 pips on SPX. You know, entry 1, entry 2 was the break and close below the 50. Boom, P4 to S3, S3 to S0, P4 to S0. However you see it, whatever makes you comfortable. I've been watching this for a long time. I feel very comfortable going from P4 to S0 nowadays. Right? That was our second S0 tap. You got to keep in mind how many times levels get tapped. Because on that third tap, if it doesn't respect it, I waited too long to say something. I waited too long. On that third tap, if it doesn't respect it, it's big melts. Keep that in mind. Support and resistance is the level after 3. Before 3, we just juicing up for something. But if we get that hard breaking close below, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a limit down here for the buyer that got smacked on this one, and then I had to go in and close them out because I recognized that was the limit that got smacked, and then I recognized, nah, we coming back down. I have to close everything, and it's like you could watch price action and see but that's entry 1, that's entry 2, that's entry 3, entry 4. As we're taking, why is those entries? This is not Delo or pivots. Let's just talk about it. Right here, it becomes an engulfing candle. Right here, it takes out this whole consolidation level. Right here, it took out the S0 specifically. What this used to be the S0, remember? And then right here, it took out this level that the news candle put in. So all of these were different entries, right? Boom, stop. And we should get a nice meltdown to the next S0. TP smacked. No, it didn't. And this is another thing I'm saying. This told us, no, we're not in the buy yet, because it's gonna come down and smack this shit. This ain't no smack. I learned the hard way. Look, smack. That's the smack. Smack it again. There we go. Now our TP is smacking. That's how you know. This right here got some people out to trade, faked them out, and then now it's finna take their money too. Give me your money. All the while, I'm getting distracted because Delo would have told us it's not time for none of that. I almost said something else. Look, right here, we could have got the shift up. Right here, this very next candle needs to be a bullish engulfing, and then we would have got maybe some P4 action, and we would have still had to wait for price to break and close above 50. Not bullish engulfing. We just need a hard bullish candle. One more bullish candle so yellow can shift with red. Other than that, we're being patient because we already said we're looking for that S0 and it didn't even hit yet. Very next candle. Do we get the bullish candle? No. Instead we get a bearish engulfing. So that means yellow is about to shift with red down. What do we have on top of price? Aqua, gray, and blue. What do we have below price? S0. That's a target. This is a stop loss. Stop loss is going right above. Whoa. And it's a very major pivot level because it's the P4 and we got the 50 EMA. Yes, sir. Stop loss above the 50. Stop loss above the P4 and the 50. I love the confluence. Not only that, we have confluence for the buy too. Like this is so much confluence. Because look, TP, R8, and gray EMA. So it's like, we know we're on point. We just need to wait for what's gonna happen next. Boom. Shit. And this wasn't even the bearish engulfing, but that was enough for me. I'm not gonna lie. I would have pulled the trigger here. And I would have definitely pulled it as this candle. I would have definitely pulled it as this candle was coming down. I'll hit that later. I'm almost done. Boom. So that's that. Let me see if I can find us one more. I think that we're good on these breakouts though. This is, I mean, every big breakout is gonna come from the major pivot level. Big facts, no cap. Except for this one, I'm not gonna lie. I remember this one too. This one was the R6. I definitely remember that. Nope, the R6 was consistent, 4140, 4140. It was a major pivot level. Remember, we already went over that. We already went over how to find it. It wasn't on the weekly, but the daily 4 hour, 1 hour, that's enough for me. And I guarantee you it's on the 30. Yep, daily 4 hour, 1 hour. Write that down. Now, I mean, I don't even have to explain it. Look at that shit. You see, you can see what I see. Christmas time, let's get it. Right here. All we needed. And it's like, I'm sure, I am 100% sure that if we put, this is a little bit advanced because we haven't went over this, y'all, but you know, just for the sake of the sake, if we put any stochastic with any measurement, it's overbought, which is way more than enough for me. So all I need is the rejection of this level or the breaking close below this level for that big melt. Because I know multiple time frames are overbought. Yep, this was except for the daily. The daily is always like active funny when news is happening. The daily is not always active funny. The daily gives us a very good indication of what's about to happen next. Now we're gonna take this stochastic off of here because it has nothing to do with this trend. But watch, I mean, I wish I could slow this candle down, but I can't. We got so many entries on one candle. Of course we do, generally speaking, wait for the breaking close of the candle. But in instances like this, you have to pull the trigger. You got to. You got to get up in there. And it melted through everything. And it just, it's such a beautiful trade. The P4 to S0 smacks. And then, of course, we know it just continues to melt. We already went through how to analyze this S0 trade. We already analyzed the S0 breakdown. So that's that. I'm going to stop the recording here and we'll go over any questions.